Hello and welcome to another session of our book club where we are reading Your Body in Balance, a truly brilliant book by Dr. Neal Barnard. And today we are reading or discussing, I should say, chapter 3, which is Tackling Cancer for Women, a very important topic. Tomorrow we'll be tackling cancer for men. Uh, make sure that you pass on these links to anybody who is struggling with this or who want to basically, um, you know, not get cancer. So today we're talking about cancer for women, tomorrow for men. And this chapter is a little long, so I warn you, this is going to be a little longer session. I'll try to make it as concise as possible. And I'm Gustavo Tolosa, a whole food plant-based coach and creator and director of the 7-day detox and reset program that I do every other month online. I hope you will check it out and maybe you will decide to give it a try. So far, it's been very successful. And you can find it on my website, which is plantemas.com. Later on, you'll see it here on the screen, and the link will be in the description area of this video. So let's talk about cancer for women. We are on page 36 of the book. And Dr. Barnard says that in this chapter and in the next chapter, we will zero in on cancers where the major issue is hormones. We all know that not all cancers have the same, issue, the same root, as we might say. But we will talk about cancers where the main issue is hormones. And of course, because of that, there are things that you can do, and Dr. Barnard will explain that. For women, that means breast cancer, uterine, and ovarian cancer. Okay, those are the major issue is hormones. For men, it means prostate and testicular cancers. So for each of these, your risk can be changed by the food choices, and because there are foods that will flood your system with hormones. And if you're not eating enough fiber, those hormones are not going to be flushed out of your body. They will keep recycling. The liver will send it back to your bloodstream, and that is not the way it's supposed to be. So he talks about a real case here, someone called Lee, and she noticed pain in her breasts. She went to a doctor and she was diagnosed with fibrocystic breasts, but was not able to recommend any treatment. The doctor was not. And apparently it was something that she was going to have to live with and hope for the best. So she went and started researching. She went to Dr. Google, like many of us do. And, she actually found that breast cancer was linked to Western diets. That is basically diets that are centered around meat and cheese, and that also was contributing to her chronic pain. So she tried to change foods, and it made a difference. Then, like many of us have tried in the past, you try to make exceptions, and soon enough, those exceptions become the rule. She was feeling bad all over again. So she knew that she was going to have to go 100% on this. And that's what she said. She did. She went 100%, leaving anything that came from an animal, and free oils that are void of fiber and water. So this time she made it stick. her husband joined, her mother joined, and it all went back to being good. So her recurrent breast pain loosened its grip, and her annual checks have been all clear so far. And she has been, she was so inspired by all of this that she decided to become a registered dietitian. And today she helps other women and men improve their diets, just as she did. So on page 38, Dr. Barnard says tackling the hormones that cause breast cancer. Very important here. So I'm going to go ahead and read the first two paragraphs because I think that they're so important that, I can't really leave them out. Normally, the cells of the breast, like other organs, stay put more or less, okay? They stay where they're supposed to stay. Trouble starts when something damages the chromosomes. The DNA blueprints dip inside the nucleus of the cell. When they are damaged, the cell can lose its ability to behave normally. So what happens? Well, what happens is that it starts multiplying over and over, creating a growing tumor that can invade nearby tissues. Pieces of the tumor can break away and travel to other organs where they invade. So you see how this goes. Breast cancer is the most common cancer women face, even after skin cancer. For most part, it is not genetic. In perhaps 5 to 10% of cases, genes play a major role and they play a smaller role in others. A big factor in whether breast cancer strikes or not is hormones, that is, estrogens. So on page 39, it says, arriving at a breast cell, estrogens can sometimes do all kinds of mischief. They can sneak through the cell membrane, that is not good news. They can even penetrate the nucleus and damage your DNA, turning a healthy cell into a cancer cell. This is serious. You don't want excess hormones. You don't want excess estrogens going in the nucleus of your cells and damaging your DNA, creating a cancer cell. And they don't stop there. That's not all. Once a cancer cell arises, estrogens can stimulate it to multiply. So not only will create cancer cells, but it will stimulate the cell to multiply. Like fertilizer on weeds, they create a growing tumor that can invade and spread. Postmenopausal women with high levels of estradiol in their bloodstreams have more than double the cancer risk compared with women with lower levels. On page 40, and the first paragraph, he says, let's take a lesson from Japan. This is very interesting because the DNA or anything in women in Japan that doesn't change over, over a day or over a week or over a year. It doesn't change. What changes is the diet. So let's take a look at this because this is a very important lesson. Over many centuries, Japan's food traditions were based mainly on rice and vegetables. This is how it was for many, many centuries. Okay, so let's see here. Get the chat. Dairy products were not used at all. So at one time in Japan, the dairy products were not used, and meat and fish were used. And when they were used, they were mostly just flavoring. Think of it as the way we use onions and garlic or pickles, just to flavor food. Japanese people had the longest life expectancy on the planet. So when meat was used, it was these thin little slices and it was meant for just some flavoring. For cancer researchers, Japan was a role model. Breast cancer was rare. And if Japanese women did get breast cancer, it was often less aggressive than cancer tended to be in American women, and they were more likely to survive. Now, listen to this. That all changed in the later decades of the 20th century. Western eating habits began to invade Japan. Meaty businesses' lunches became commonplace, and fast food chains started to crop up featuring burgers, chicken, and cheese. Between 1995 and 2000, breast cancer incidence doubled. You can see how it doesn't take long, just 25 years, and cancer incidence doubled. The problem was not polluted water or radiation. The problem was food. In a 2016 study, found that Japanese women who had westernized their diets the most had an 83% higher breast cancer risk. You know, almost 100% cancer risk when you westernize your diet, compared with those who had stayed with more traditional eating habits. What is it about a Western diet? How could it cause cancer? Is it the fat? Is it the dairy product? The lack of fiber? How about all of the above? So in chapter 1 and 2, we have already covered this. So I am now going to go through these pages faster. Make sure you read pages 41, 42, 43, 44, because it's talking about the importance of cutting fat. Remember that fat cells are hormone factories, and you don't want to have extra hormones made in your body, and you don't want to eat extra hormones. So cutting fat is important. How do you cut fat? Well, animal products. Okay, fat is very low in plants and whole food plant-based way of eating. Also, completely getting rid of dairy with all of its carcinogens and all of the extra hormones that they bring. So dairy as well is out. Now, what else? Well, make sure that you boost fiber. Fiber is the only way that the body has to detoxify, to get rid of extra cholesterol, extra hormones, extra anything that is toxic. It's going to go out of your body if you're eating at least 40 grams of fiber a day. And I do want to mention this because this is important. You can do this on your own. You can read these books and do it. If you need a little extra help in my 7-day program, that is the main focus, is to learn how to put together easy meals with 4 or 5 ingredients and how to increase your fiber to at least 40 grams per day. So that's key, okay? And so on page 44, you have a list, you see, of, he just gives you a list of foods with the amount of grams that they have. For example, half a cup only half a cup of beans, peas, or lentils have 7 grams. That means that if you eat 1 cup, which is not much, you're getting 14 grams already in one day. Vegetables, potatoes, let's say, with skin, 4 grams. It's easy to eat 2 or 3 potatoes. Then you have another maybe 12 grams. Broccoli, carrots, or other common vegetables, just 1 cup. 1 cup is very little. We eat several cups a day in the 7-day program. And if you not learn how to do this, you will be eating them every day. That's 5 grams. So we easily get in 15 to 20 grams. So we're already close to 40 grams of fat, of fiber a day. Fruit also has fiber. Grains, for example, brown rice, just 1 cup of cooked rice, that's not much, has 3 grams. Oatmeal cooked, 1 cup, 4 grams. So very soon it adds up, and all of a sudden you are at 40 grams and above per day of fiber, and that's what you want. That fiber is going to flush all of these excess toxins, including excess protein, excess hormones, excess cholesterol, excess some even heavy metals. Is fiber what does that. On page 45, it says, beware of carcinogens in foods. Okay, one of the most carcinogenic foods is cooked chicken. I know we have been told and brainwashed to think that white meat in chicken is the healthiest choice. What? Let me tell you, let me point it to you, because I'm not telling you. It's someone who is a renowned doctor with many years of research that is telling you that chicken, when it's cooked, is one of the biggest source of carcinogens. Look at this. Americans eat 1 million chickens every hour. Every hour, not every day or every week. It's overwhelming, truly. All meats have a tendency to accumulate carcinogens as they cook. And they also have a tendency to encourage the formation of carcinogens in your digestive tract. None of this does your body any good. On page 46, he talks again about how fat cells are hormones factories. And we've already touched on that topic. So you do want to lose some weight. Losing weight will regulate your blood sugar, will make your whole body, your well-being is going to go up. Everything gets better, functions better when you get closer to your ideal weight. Although on page 49, he says that thinner is better only up to a point. Women who are seriously underweight are also at a risk for cancer. So make sure that you learn how to calculate your BMI, your ideal weight. And that is, he explains how to do that on page 47 and 48. And here comes something that I love, because this is what we do in my detox program. He talks about foods that help you detox. On page 50, he talks about, he talks about how we all need air. We need oxygen to survive, okay? It's essential for every cell in your body. Even so, oxygen molecules are unstable and can easily be damaged. They lose electrons, and electrons end up in unstable orbits. These altered oxygen molecules are called free radicals. You've probably heard about free radicals. We don't want free radicals in our bodies because they damage our cells. So free radicals mean altered oxygen molecules. They can attack your skin, So free radicals will make you look older, make you age. They can attack your blood vessels, and you can get many of the illnesses of blood vessels, and even your DNA, leading to cancer. So how do you attack these free radicals? With antioxidants. Antioxidants can neutralize free radicals. Where do you find antioxidants? Well, let me tell you first what Dr. Barnard also says. You don't find antioxidants in meat or processed foods, and you don't find them in a pill. They have to come in the perfectly balanced package of whole foods in the plant kingdom. So some of the antioxidants are, for example, vitamin C. That's on page 50. Vitamin C patrols the watery parts of your body, your bloodstream, and the interior of your cells, knocking out free radicals that it encounters. And you can find these antioxidants in citrus fruits, but also in many, many vegetables, you find vitamin C. As long as you eat a variety of fruits and vegetables every day, you will have a very good level of vitamin C. And it comes with all of the fiber and all of the phytonutrients and all of the minerals, everything already in perfect balance. It's not good to flood your cells with one isolated nutrient. It can create imbalances which are negative. Another antioxidant is beta carotene. Beta carotene is orange in color. Okay, so anything orange, you know that has beta carotene. Carrots, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, cantaloupe, they're all loaded with beta carotene. You will also find it in kale, believe it or not, and in other green vegetables. And that is why in my 7-day program, I show you how to eat your greens every day and how easy it is to include them in just about every meal that you eat. Okay, I would encourage you to get your beta carotene from foods, not supplement pills. In research studies, beta carotene pills lack the cancer prevention power that you get from the real food. Another antioxidant is lycopene, and lycopene is red. So for example, tomatoes, watermelon, and the pink grapefruit. In addition to these antioxidants, let me say a word of praise for cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale, and their botanical cousins. There is a bag that you can get if you have Trader Joe's somewhere nearby, the supermarket, and it's called Cruciferous Crunch. And it's a combination of those things that I just read, but you can make it yourself. Their names come from their cross-shaped flowers, and they have a special power. They help you eliminate unwelcome chemicals that could otherwise lead to cancer. Here's how. Your liver is constantly filtering your blood. When a toxic molecule shows up, your liver's phase 1 enzymes grab hold of the toxic molecule. These enzymes attach an oxygen molecule to it, like a policeman attaching one end of a pair of handcuffs to a criminal's wrist. Then a phase 2 enzyme attaches to other end of the oxygen molecule to a large carrier molecule, such as glutathione, which acts like a big, burly policeman carrying the toxin away. Cruciferous vegetables stimulate the liver to produce extra phase 2 enzymes, giving you a huge squad of policemen to carry away toxins. Let's say you were to have broccoli on Monday and Tuesday. By Wednesday, your liver would have an extra set of detoxifying phase 2 enzymes and would be more vigilant against chemical intruders. There are also some non-cruciferous vegetables with a similar helpful effects. For example, asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, celery, ginger, green beans, green onions, kale, leeks, lettuce, spinach. On page 50, there is a rectangle there, a box that says, if you're undergoing chemotherapy or radiation, clinicians sometimes limit antioxidants during active treatment. Okay, so make sure that he says, I strongly encourage you to speak with your healthcare provider. So fruits, there are some fruits that are, they're all good, all of them, but he talks about the extra benefits of having strawberries, blueberries, and peaches that are associated with reduced cancer risk. Another thing that cuts cancer risk is soy, okay? So on page 53, it says, in numerous careful studies, women who consume the most soy products have been shown to have about 30% lower risk of developing breast cancer compared with their soy-avoiding friends. I should note that this has been demonstrated in Asian populations. In the United States, soy consumption is so low that reliable comparisons over the full range of high and low soy intakes have not been possible. Another thing that you need to avoid for cancer prevention is alcohol. Okay, so that's another thing. Alcohol contributes to DNA damage, and it may also have hormonal effects. Needless to say, alcohol sometimes displaces healthier foods. In other words, if you're having wine, you're not pouring a glass of carrot juice. What about sugar? So on page 56, it says, the biggest problem with sugar may be that it lures us to consume donuts and candy, and these fatty, calorie-dense foods can lead to gain weight, which in turn fuels cancer risk. Sometimes it's not just the sugar, it's the combination of sugar, fat, flour, oil, salt. It comes all combined. So then he says on page 56, but the key step for controlling blood sugar is to cut the animal products and added fats from your diet. This is because, surprising as it may sound, fat buildup inside muscle and liver cells causes insulin resistance. This is very important because most people think that insulin resistance happens because someone is eating too much sugar or too many carbs, and it's actually the fat. So to put it simply, if your cells are full of fat, listen to this very carefully. If your cells are full of fat, the cells cannot take in sugar very effectively. So the sugar builds up in your bloodstream. Getting animal products and added oils out of your diet tackles insulin resistance and helps bring your blood sugar down. Dr. Barnard talks about this in detail in his book, Reversing Diabetes. It also pays to do some type of exercise. So on page 56, it says, exercise tames hormones. In the Women's Health Initiative, which we briefly discussed earlier, women who exercise had lower levels of estrogens circulating in their bloodstreams compared with women who were sedentary. There is a however here. It looks like much of exercise's hormone-taming effects come from weight loss, not so much from the actual exercise. Those who did not lose any weight did not see their hormones drop at all. Of course, there are many benefits of exercising apart from its effects on hormones. Studies suggest that it strengthens the immune system, helping you to eliminate cancer cells that may arise. What about now birth control pills, IUDs, and hormone replacement therapy on page 57? Well, as you might have guessed, oral contraceptives do raise the risk of breast cancer slightly. The good news is that this added risk quickly diminishes after use is discontinued. And studies suggest that oral contraceptives reduce the risk of cancer of the ovary, endometrium, and colorectal. Uterine devices, IUDs, are highly effective. Some brands contain a progestin. Evidence so far suggests that their contribution to breast cancer risk is similar to that of oral contraceptives. Now, this is something to consider if you are, afraid of Alzheimer's. Other IUDs contain copper, which is toxic to sperm cells. Some studies, although not all, show that copper-containing IUDs release a tiny amount of copper into the bloodstream. Given that exposure to copper is one of the suspects in Alzheimer's disease, this has raised the question as to whether long-term use of copper-containing IUDs could contribute to Alzheimer's risk. To my knowledge, no research has directly tackled this question. Then he talks about endometrial cancer on page 58. And he says endometrial cancer is more likely in women who have taken estrogens to control menopausal symptoms, unless they use a preparation that includes a progestin. Evidence suggests that birth control pills and vaginal estrogen creams do not increase the risk of endometrial cancer. So, what else can we do to protect ourselves from endometrial cancer? Well, here we go again, the same topics. I hope you're seeing that there is a common theme here. Well, for one thing, you can favor foods that trim away excess fat. So how do you do that? Well, you focus on fruits and vegetables and beans and rice and stop consuming animal products and oils. Also, you choose foods that keep your blood sugar steady. So on page 59, he talks about that. Simple substitutions will help. For example, use fruit to sweeten things instead of table sugar. Instead of eating wheat bread, use rye bread or pumpernickel bread. Eat sweet potatoes instead of white potatoes, and oatmeal instead of cold cereals. We'll talk about this more on chapter 8, in chapter 8. The most powerful way to reduce blood sugar actually has nothing to do with how much sugar or carbohydrate you eat. This is misinformation, okay, that a lot of people have been given, thinking that sugar or carbohydrate is the main issue. It turns out that when people begin a low-fat vegan diet, their blood sugars tend to fall in a healthful way. The reason is that this diet reduces the amount of fat inside muscle cells and liver cells. In turn, these cells are then able to actually use the sugar out of the blood so that that sugar doesn't stay in your blood. Then he talks about ovarian cancer on page 60. He says, what can you do about it? Unlike breast cancer, alcohol does not seem to play much of any role in ovarian cancer. Tobacco does play a role, and quitting smoking helps. Losing excess body fat reduces the risk too, just as it does for many other cancers. But an additional factor has emerged. In 1989, Dr. Daniel Kramer, whom we talked about in chapter 1, examined ovarian cancer incidence in 27 countries and found, surprisingly enough, that it paralleled milk consumption. The more milk women drank, the higher the incidence of ovarian cancer. And that's why one of the best things that you can possibly do to yourself and to your body to be kind to it is to stop the consumption of dairy. On page 61, he talks about some dietary steps for tackling cancer. And he gives you 9 steps, which we will briefly mention, and then we will stop for today. Avoid animal products. We've been talking about this from day 1. Minimize or stop the use of added oils. Eat for color, number 3, including orange and red fruits and vegetables, and plenty of cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, collards, and Brussels sprouts. Number 4, have tofu or tempeh or soy milk or other soy products regularly. Number 5, aim for at least 40 grams of fiber per day. Beans, vegetables, fruits, and grains will get you there easily. Number 6, plan for 2.5 to 5 hours of moderate intensity physical activity every week, per week, okay? So 2.5 to 5 hours per week. A brisk walk or anything else that gets your heart pumping is good. Number 7, when it comes to alcohol, the less, the better. Number 8, see chapter 13 for tips on avoiding chemical exposures. I think that is very important. I don't know if we will be able to get to chapter 13 in this book club, but that is something that you can easily read, and very, very good ideas on how to avoid chemical exposures. And number 9, finally, be sure to take a vitamin B12 supplement. This is one of the only supplements that all whole food, plant-based, starch-centered doctors will recommend. This is important for everyone, and especially those on a plant-based diet. And you will find more information about vitamin B12 in chapter 2. So I hope that you have learned a lot in this chapter, and that it will help you, and it might hopefully help other loved ones in your life. And please, if you have any questions or comments and you want to write them here in the chat, you can do so now. Otherwise, if you would like to unmute and ask a question or comment, please feel free to do so. This coming Friday, feel free to interrupt at any moment. this coming Friday, I will be on Chef AJ's live making some easy meals. If you'd like to watch that, you just go to YouTube, you go to Chef AJ, and at 11 a.m. Pacific, uh, you know, that is 1 p.m. Central Time, the broadcast will start.
Well, you
Oh,
encouraged me to go make the orange soup this week after,
oh
especially after reading
yeah,
this. It's like,
yes,
so I'm going to make the
yes.
orange soup and maybe I'll put an orange in there. I don't know.
Yes, the orange soup is easy. There is no recipe really. We do it in the 7-day program. You just get maybe like two sweet potatoes, orange sweet potatoes, a small butternut squash, um, three or four carrots, maybe some kabocha squash, and you steam that, cook it any way you want. Steaming is probably better because if you boil it, a lot of the nutrients go out in the water. But really, in this case, it won't, because if you chop all of those vegetables that I just mentioned, put them in a big pot, add 4 or 5 cups of water or vegetable broth that is sodium free and oil free, then of course it will stay there. All the nutrients will stay there. And you just boil it until everything is soft. I wouldn't put the contents in a blender because we want intact fiber to get all of the toxins out. So what I would do is I would cook it until it's very soft and falls apart. What you can do is with a potato masher, you can just mash it, and so that the soup will be creamy. But if you like the chunkiness, you can just eat it like that. I usually add very few condiments or herbs. You can choose what you like. Then if you want it more watery, you can add 1 or 2 extra cups of water. I tend to use a little bit of nutmeg, maybe a little bit of cinnamon, some smoked paprika, maybe a little bit of onion powder. I mean, you just choose the flavors that you like. Sometimes I put some curry in it, and so it's a delicious soup. You put it in your bowl, nice and steamy, hot. Then you can chop some fresh spinach or Swiss chard, or even maybe you can put some asparagus, and you mix it, and then you have it's a truly anti-cancer soup. So I hope you will try it. Well, I will see you tomorrow at the same time. Tomorrow, if you know any men and that need to hear this, let them know. We'll be talking about tackling cancer for men. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.